Gonna try, gonna try, gonna try. Work till I die, till I die, till I die. I'm gonna fail and get up, cause I'm not giving up on my dream.
Hi my lovely Frosty Fam, it's me, Karen Frost, here at Nail Decadence again. Welcome to my channel, welcome one and all. So I've got an acrylic video to share with you, a set that I did on myself. I did some sculpting. These colours that you saw just then, the pink, the purple and the orange, are coloured acrylic powders that I have mixed myself. If you are interested, there is a video in the cards. I've left it, the link to the video in the cards of my video. I've said video. How many times am I going to say video? But anyway, it's a how to mix your own custom acrylic powders video tutorial. So yeah, check that out if you'd like to know how I mix my own coloured acrylic powders. And the other bits and bobs that I'm using, obviously I'm showing you. There are a lot of crystals in this set, as you can see. Look, properly blinged out. Look at that. I just got carried away with the crystals, but I don't care. I loved it. I did these a while back, so this is it's one of my older videos. But anyway, I still loved this set. I enjoyed wearing these. It is what it is. They were blinged out. They were pimped up. They were so cool. Anyway, I hope you guys like this set as much as I liked it. So first thing first, obviously I have prepped my nails, pushed back the cuticles, removed all of that dead skin off the nail plate and removed the shine, all of that good stuff. And then I applied the dehydrator, and what you saw me then apply is the bond. So I applied my primer and got my forms on. I did that before I started the video because I wanted to. I faff about with forms when I'm fitting them, and yeah, I kind of customized them a little bit. So in this video I'm using the Max Professional forms. I do like these forms. They are thin. They're not like the SBD London ones. The SBD London ones have like that kind of inner foil core, so they're really strong and stuff. These ones are a lot thinner. But because I wasn't doing a super long set, I thought, you know what, I'll just use the Max forms because I got a roll of it. And as much as I love my SBD London forms, I didn't want to just, not use the other forms that I've got. So I thought I'd dig these ones out because I hadn't used them in ages, and I used to really love them. Since having the SBD London forms, I didn't love these as much as I used to, but that's because the SBD London ones are just amazing. But these are still nice forms to use. So yeah, they're just not as strong or as thick as the SBD London ones. And as you can see, I'm kind of having to hold the form in place because it was moving whilst I was patting and pressing the acrylic there. So that was a bit of a annoyance, but we get there eventually. So what I'm doing at the moment is I am sculpting out my thin clear base, and also putting the thin clear base on the natural nail. When I started sculpting these, my initial thoughts were I was going for a very narrow ballerina, what I call a balletto shape, because it's like a cross between a ballerina and a stiletto, so I call it a balletto. Anyway, that was the shape I was going for. However, as you saw in the beginning, I ended up with stiletto nails because after I'd sculpted it, whilst I was filing, I decided to change it to stilettos. I don't advise you doing that because, as you will see, I've left the filing in. It takes an inordinate amount of filing to get them into a stiletto shape. Ugh, what a waste of time that was, and product. But anyway, yeah, when I sculpted them, I was thinking balletto, very narrow ballerina shape. So that's why It's a totally different shape that I'm sculpting to the shape that I ended up with. Anywho, as you can see, carrying on with my thin clear base, and as I move from one finger to the next, I go back to the previous finger and I'm pinching that clear base. I want these to be nice and narrow and slender, so as you'll see, I start pinching. As the acrylic starts warming up and setting, I will pinch them. Do not pinch it like what I'm doing. You really need to be wearing gloves or using a pinching tool when you're pinching. Don't do it with your bare skin like you see me doing. I was being very naughty in this video using my bare skin to pinch the acrylic. Don't do that. It's not cured properly. It still can cause allergic reactions and stuff from overexposure. So yeah, don't pinch it with your bare skin like you see me doing in this video. I was being very, very bad and not listening to my own advice. Just do as I say, not as I do. One of those ones. Oh, yeah, I was very naughty. I don't know why I didn't use the pinching tool and was using my fingers. Yeah, I don't know. I've got no excuse. There is no excuse. I was just being a bad girl, and there it is. So as you saw, I fitted that form. That form could have been fitted a little bit better. However, if I had cut any further into the form to make the form fit right up to my sidewalls properly, I would have lost a lot of this length. Because I'm going to the very end of this form, I couldn't afford to lose any length at all. Whereas normally, if you only say you're going up to line number 4, if you cut out the middle bit to fit your cuticle hypernychium area, which is underneath your natural free edge, that area there, if you want the form to fit that area properly and be able to come up to your sidewalls properly, if you were going to a size to the number 4, you could compensate for the bit you're cutting out by going to number 5 instead. But where I'm going right to the very end of the form, I didn't want to make a cutout because then I would lose the length and my thumb would be shorter than the other nails. That's why I didn't totally customize the forms the way they should really be customized. Hope that makes sense to you all. But yeah, that's why I didn't customize it the way you really should. Anywho, as you can see on the little finger, I have started my ombre. So I've got a 3-way ombre going. So applied the orange first, faded that back, of course, because I'm going to be fading the cover pink over that. So faded back the orange, faded it forwards as well, then added the pink, faded that into the orange but also towards the free edge, the very tip, and then added the purple and blended that over the pink. And I will go back and forth between the colours until I'm happy and satisfied with my blend, and then I'll move on to the next finger. So as you can see, I'm on to the next finger. So I applied that orange, blended it back up onto the nail bed, and I've just looked at my little finger and I thought, let me bring that orange down a little bit further so that it matches the index finger. I try and keep things as even as possible, so I do look at what I've previously done, not just the nail that I'm currently working on. I say that a lot in my videos, but it really does make a difference. Don't just pay attention to the nail you're working on, look at the other nails next to and adjacent to it as well, so that you've got nice uniformity of your set and it will all flow and look similar and just be a set as opposed to odd looking different nails, if that makes sense. Anyway, so I'm making my blending. These are tiny beads of acrylic that I'm using to add these colours. You don't need a lot, especially with it being such a narrow free edge. So I'm just using tiny beads, getting my blend as nice as I can get it so that my ombre is nice and smooth. Just pinching that thumb now that it has started to set up. And then I can add my ombre. So I'm doing the triple ombre on the 3 fingers. I mean, technically it's a 4-way ombre because of the cover pink, but what I mean is triple colour ombre. Anyway, so add the orange, like I said, blend that back. You want to blend it back so that when you add your cover pink, you don't have a harsh line, and that's going to be shadowing underneath your cover pink, you know. The whole point of an ombre is for it to be a seamless blend so that you don't see the seam. So yes, blend, and obviously you have to blend it both ways. The only colour that isn't needed to be blended both ways, top and bottom, is the purple, because that's at the very tip of the nail, so it doesn't need blending any further, it just needs blending back into that pink. Blending is your key with ombres, and if you use, when you're doing that blend, see how I did that pink there? That was a really wet bead. That helps you to get your ombre really nice, is to use a wetter bead. It definitely helps, so do bear that in mind. Ombres can be tricky when you're not used to doing them, but once you get the hang of it, you'll be able to ombre anything. It's just the little tips and tricks that I'm telling you, tiny beads, wet beads, to just get the ombre the way you want it. It really does make a difference. So now that I have finished ombreing the thumb of that triple ombre, I will add my cover pink. So I brought that cover pink a bit too far down over the orange, so I sort of scraped some of that cover pink off and then went back to the orange and blended that back over the cover pink, because I just brought it down just a little bit too far, and I didn't want to cover up so much of the orange. I picked up too big of a bead for the little finger really, so that's why I went back in with the orange to sort that out. There is always a solution to a problem, don't panic, it's okay, it's only nails. So I'll let that set up before I cap it. So I'll move on to the ring finger, and on this finger I'm just doing a full nail of the cover pink, as you can see. So add quite a large bead there, bring it down the nail to right to the way to the free edge, and then add my second bead, and I'll blend that back into the previous product and then bring the rest down to the free edge. With cover pinks you can build your entire nail with them, you know, you can build up your strength and apex and structure with it. However, I like to cap everything with clear. There are a good few reasons why. Clear acrylic is the strongest acrylic. Obviously with the thin clear base, I've got the protection on my natural nail from staining, but I've also got the highest adhesion factor with it. Clear acrylic is going to adhere the best out of all the acrylics, so even though a cover pink can be used straight onto the nail plate, I prefer to always have my thin clear base anyway, because yeah, it has the best adhesive properties, but also gives you a little bit of strength and also protects from staining. And of course there's the factor of you can file back to your thin clear base and not be filing and not worrying about having that you're filing to your natural nail. So yes, there are many reasons for the clear, and when I'm capping with clear, I am clear acrylic, just, I don't know, it gives this glass effect over the nail that I just love. I really like the look of it, plus it's the strongest, like I said. Plus, if you're using the clear to build your acrylic nail with, you know, to build the strength and structure, you're using less of your cover pink, so your cover pink is going to last longer. And let's not get it twisted, clear acrylic is the cheapest out of all of the acrylics, so makes sense to me to build the nail with the clear acrylic for all of those reasons. And yeah, that's why I do it the way I do it, but also because, like I said, I like the look of the clear over the coloured acrylics. I just love the way it looks, gives it that glass effect, and I just really like it. Anyway, so as you can see, I am just building up the nail. It looks like I'm making it really thick. but it's actually not. I'm just trying to make sure that I get good colour payoff. This cover pink is slightly translucent, so I'm having to build it up more than I normally would with a more opaque one, but I will still be capping it in clear to properly add my strength with it. And then I can move on to the, what finger is that? The index finger, and carry on with my ombre. So adding the cover pink by where the orange ends, blend that over, then I can add my second bead behind that up by the cuticle area, get that nice and neat. And my acrylic was setting up quite quickly on me, so I was having to work quite fast with it. And I can't remember if it was a warm day or not, to be honest. I filmed this quite a while ago, so I can't remember if it was a hot day or not, but you can see the acrylic is setting up rather quickly on me, so I'm having to work quite fast and be a bit more forceful with my patting, applying a bit more pressure to get the acrylic to move where I want it to move. But you know, I get there eventually. I want to make sure that cuticle area is nice and neat. If you get any acrylic that has flooded into the sidewalls or the cuticle area, use your brush and get it off the skin. Get it off the skin. You don't want to just slap monomer all over your skin. Don't use a totally sopping wet brush to do that. Dry the brush on your kitchen roll really well, and just use the very tip of your brush to edge it away from the edge the acrylic away from the skin, so that it's no longer touching, because that will just cause lifting and you don't want that. Plus, like I said, you just don't want acrylic on the skin anyway. These products are made for nails, not for skin, so please try and avoid contact with the skin as much as possible, so that you are then less likely to develop an allergy to nail products, which would be really sad if you did get one, and we don't want that. So avoid touching the skin as much as possible. I can't emphasize that enough. They are chemicals. They're chemical irritants. Products, nail products, they are not meant for skin, so don't slap it all over your skin, for goodness sake. Please don't do that. See, I use just the very tip of my brush. I'm not swiping the brush all over my finger, just very, very tip of the brush to get it out if it's the acrylic has gotten away from me, because you know, it does happen. Sometimes the acrylic seeps away from you, and the only thing you can do is try and sort it out. Now, once the nails are dry and hardened, I will go and wash my hands with soap and water before I even start the filing, because I want to get that stuff off my skin as quickly as possible. You want to get it off as soon as it's most convenient, and as soon as possible, basically. And the only time that I can do it that's available to me would be once I've finished applying all of the acrylic and it's hardened, then I can go and wash my hands. So that is what I will do. So as you can see, I'm going to continue and cap all of the nails. I'm just comparing it to my other hand, because you know, we've got a set of 10 here. We want all of the nails to be similar, so do compare. So I'm not only comparing it to my other hand, I'm also comparing it to the previous fingers. Very important. If you want a nice uniform set of nails, you have to treat them as a set and not just individual nails on individual fingers. I will always repeat that every video probably. Look at all of the nails and compare them. If you want a nice uniform set that doesn't have different shapes and different thickness and different widths on your nails, you must compare them. There we go. So I'm going to cap this index finger. You'll notice that my forms are slightly pulled upwards. They're pointing upwards somewhat. I have hooked nails, and to counteract that, I will tip my forms up slightly, which means that by my natural free edge there is a dip, so I will have to use quite a bit of acrylic to fill that dip in and even out the surface of the nail so that dip is no longer visible. So I've kind of got a hidden apex there, which is pretty cool. But I will still put my apex in the back third anyway, because I want the nail to be shaped nicely. So I want a nice slope from the cuticle area up to my apex and then down towards the free edge. And a nice, you know, you want your nail to be shaped nicely. I don't want it, even though I've got that hidden apex, I don't want my nail to look flat. But I don't want it to be too bulky either. There's a bit of a thin line between too much acrylic and not enough. So yeah, I have made these a little bit thick, I will say. They are a tad thick, but yeah, because the tip was so narrow, I wanted to make sure that they'd be strong enough, because I'm hard on my nails. I don't really take care with what I'm doing. I'm quite heavy-handed, so I want to make sure my nails can withstand the onslaught they're going to receive, and I don't want them to break. And it's rare that I break a nail. It is rare that I break a nail, so I must be doing something right if they're not breaking with the mistreatment that I give them. The saying is nails are tools, jewels not tools, but yeah, I'm one of the naughty people who uses them like tools. Exactly what nail techs advise clients not to do, because we are terrible. We tell our clients to do all these things and we don't do them ourselves. A bit hypocritical, but that's the nail techs for you, and I'm included in that. I can't say I'm any different. Anyway, so I'm going to carry on capping. As you can see, I want to make sure my apex is in the back third, that all of that ombre is encased so that I don't file any of those ombres away, and also that the nail is as strong as it needs to be to last the 2 to 3, maybe even 4 weeks that I wear them. So just giving them a look over, making sure that they all look similar. This one seemed to need a bit more pinching, so I gave it a bit more of a pinch, and then I pinched the rest, and now that they've started to harden up, I can remove the forms. So I've left the fun one on because that's not quite ready to be removed yet, and I'm just giving them a once over. I'm waiting for this one so that I can pinch it, give them a good old look over, and then I'm going to clean my brush once I know that I'm not going to use any more acrylic. So I just noticed there was a bit of a dip there, so I added a bit more acrylic. But if you want your brush to last, you must clean your brush. And I'm going to show you what I do once I've finished pinching. Right, so here we go. So I'll take the monomer and I will really clean my brush. So I'll squeeze it in between the kitchen roll, and I'll get some clean monomer and I will do it again. So I've gotten some clean monomer. That was where the break in the video footage was. So I've got some clean monomer, really pinched between the kitchen roll and pulled my brush through it, and then I will do this last bit of patting out the excess monomer and reshaping my brush before I put it away. If you want your brush to stay in good condition, always look after it. So give it a good clean and reshape it before you put it away after every use. Anywho, so now it's on to the filing for my Frosty filing freaks. If you're not a Frosty filing freak, go ahead and skip to the timestamp that I did put in the corner of the screen, because we're going to be here for a while with this filing. Yes, we are. So the first thing I am doing is I'm going to use this little bit. It's a tapered cone bit. It doesn't have an edge on it, so it can't cut. It's like a safety bit, and I'm just going to use that to go around my cuticle area. It's I think it's an extra fine actually. it's either a fine or an extra fine bit, this one. So it's more abrasive than a diamond bit, but it's not as abrasive as, say, a medium bit. I'm pretty sure it's an extra fine, this one. Yeah, it is. It's a yellow one, so it's the extra fine. So I'm just going to go around that cuticle area with that bit, blend that in. We want the cuticle area to be flush with the natural nail, so that when it grows out, you don't have any lifting, you don't have a lip or a step there that can get caught in your hair, which will also contribute to lifting. So all of that is to avoid lifting. You seal that cuticle area around really nicely, and you're also making sure that if any had touched the skin that you didn't get off with your brush, you get that off whilst you are filing around the cuticle area with the bit. And then I will go on to shaping the sidewalls and free edge, and as you can see, I started filing with the hand file, and then I thought, I think these would look good as stilettos, because I have these bright ideas. So I thought, let's make these stilettos, let's make your job even harder, Karen, and change the shape. So I put down the hand file, got my e-file back out, switched to a carbide bit, and now I'm cutting down those sides to turn the nails into a stiletto from a billetto, which, like I said, is what I call a very narrow tapered ballerina, because it looks like it's a cross between a stiletto and a ballerina. So billetto, bye bye billetto, you are going back to being a stiletto. Yeah, I'm rhyming here. This took so long, I'm not even gonna lie. Oh my gosh, this took so long. I started doing it, and then halfway through I kind of regretted it, but I'd already started, so I couldn't then stop. Because I can change it from, you know, a narrow ballerina or billetto to a stiletto, but what I can't do is change a stiletto into a ballerina without putting on more product. So it's like, oh, I've started, so now I'm going to have to finish, and I still had the other hand to file as well. Oh yeah, this took ages, because I'm having to cut down the sides of the free edge and get it into that point instead of the squared off shape that I had originally sculpted out. What a donut, hey? Do like to make my life more difficult, don't I? But they did look good as stilettos. I was happy with, once I'd finished, I was happy with the shape, but whilst I was doing it, I was kind of regretting the decision. So my advice would be, make sure when you sculpt your nails that you are sculpting the shape you definitely want to go with. Because changing your mind is going to give you more work. Oh, what am I like, eh? What am I like? Anyway, so did most of the work with the e-file, which does cut down on the time, but still, it's still a lot to do. And then I will refine that sidewall shape with the hand file. So I'll sort out the underarch and the sidewalls and taper in that stiletto shape so that I get that pointed tip. I'm not making them super pointy, but pointy enough for me. I tend to put holes in things when they're too pointy. Even with this point that I end up doing, I still ended up poking holes in my clothes with it. But anyway, it is what it is. I don't know how people with really super sharp stilettos cope, but yeah, I tend to put holes in my clothes when I'm wearing stilettos. The old washing up sponge ends up in bits and pieces from stiletto nails as well. Oh dear, they're fun to wear though. I never used to wear stiletto nails. Never used to wear them. Was never a fan of the pointy nails, but once I actually did myself a set, finally, think it was a couple of years ago, once I finally gave myself a set of stilettos, I was like, ooh, I quite like these. And yeah, so every so often I will do another stiletto set on myself. Yeah, it takes a bit of getting used to though, like I said. The holes in the clothes is something else. So I stop and look, as I say in pretty much every video. Stop and look at what you're doing. Make sure your nail is not wonky. You don't want a wonky nail. So what you do on one side of the nail, make sure you're doing it on the other side of the nail. And stop and look and make sure that nail is still going straight the way you want it to go. But also look at your other fingers, because what you don't want to do is taper one more than you're tapering the others, because then you'll have to taper the others even more to match that one, and so on and so forth. So yeah, stopping and looking will help you to not make errors that then have to be fixed. So stop and look often. So here we go, under the arch, and then I sort of rotate my file upwards and then do the sidewall. So under arch, sidewall, under arch, sidewall, switch to the other side, under arch, sidewall, rotating that file up and keeping it straight on those sides. Stop and look, make sure that the nail is going the way I want it to go. Make sure all the points are very similar in their thickness of width, and that they are equally all pointy, but making sure that none of them are blunter or more pointy than the other. And yeah, stop and look. I can't emphasize that enough, and I will never stop saying it either, because it really does make a difference when you stop and look. And don't just look at the nail you're working on, look at all of the other nails as well. So once I've finished making my points, nearly there, giving them a quick look over, now I will concentrate on the body of the nail. So now I'm using a fine, or is it an extra fine? No, this is another extra fine. This is a larger barreled tapered cone bit that's also got a safety edge on it. It's one of those 5-in-1 bits. So I'm going to use that to just smooth out the body of the nail. There's not too much debulking as such to do, thank goodness. I had already done enough with the reducing the sidewalls in turning the shape from a Balletto to the Stiletto, so yeah, was glad I didn't have to file too much on the body. So all I'm doing is contouring that nail. So where I've got those sharp sides from where I've filed the sidewalls, I want to blend that into the rest of the nail so my nail is curved, but I also want to make sure my apex is still there. I don't want to file away my apex, and I want to make sure that any lumps and bumps are smoothed away and that the nail is nice and even, and that I'm blending from the cuticle up to the apex and then down towards the free edge, so that there isn't any kind of blocky steps or harsh lines. We want it to be all curved and contoured. So I want to blend that around that cuticle area up to the apex and then down the rest of the nail, and blending those harsh lines from the side into the nail so that you've got that beautiful curve. Nails are supposed to be nice and curved, and that's what you're going for. So just look at that nail from all different angles. Make sure you look down the barrel of the nail as well, so that the nail is even on both sides. Yeah, definitely look at it from every angle, because when you're looking at the bird's eye view, your nail will look really good. But once you turn it to the side or you look down the barrel, that's when you'll see any inconsistencies in your shape. So that's how you'll be able to rectify any of those issues, should you notice any, and you won't notice them if you are not looking for them. So just blend that nail in, just contour it, not too much filing to do, making sure the free edge isn't too thick. There we go. And now I'm just going to use a hand file to smooth out. You can use a buffing block as well to do this part. I decided to use a hand file because I wanted to still refine the point of the nail a little bit as well. So I will go up one side of the nail, then the other side of the nail, then round that cuticle area, and then I'm working on the body of the nail, just continuing to blend it all in, making sure that any demarcations from the e-file are all removed and that nail is nice and smooth, ready for top coat. So I'll do the same again on the next finger. Of course, I'm refining that point of my nail just a little bit more. So I'll go up one side, up the other side, around the cuticle, down the other side, and then over the body of the nail. Same again, rinse and repeat. Routine will help you get a nice uniform set where all of your nails look similar. That's the continuity between your nails is how you get a beautiful set of nails. And not only that, you comparing the finger that you're doing to the other fingers, but you also need to compare it to your other hand. I know my Frosty Fam are used to hearing me saying this, and they're probably sick of me saying it, but I get new subscribers all the time, so I will always explain it the same way I always do. So I'm sorry if I'm repeating myself for those who watch all the time, but for those who are new to my channel, yeah, this is what I do. I give myself a routine and I go with it. I have different routines depending on how my hands are feeling. I have joint pain and muscle pain, so I have different filing routines. However, I will pick one routine for that set of nails. So whatever routine I start off with is the routine I will use throughout until that set is finished, and I will not change that routine until I do a different set of nails. But whilst I'm doing the current set of nails, I will stick to that one routine. That way I know all of my nails are going to definitely be similar in their shaping, because they all get the same treatment, if that makes sense. However, I do also get file happy, and I'm going to show you what happens when you get file happy. So I'm just finishing off that little finger. There we go, down the body, and then that finger's done. Removed all the dust, and here we go. So this is what happens when you get file happy. I filed a little bit too much away. I got carried away with the filing and just filed too much. If that happens, this is how you fix it. So literally just get that cover pink, just really thin layers of it, and fill in those areas where you filed away too much. Keep in mind that you don't need a lot, and you're blending it into the previous product. So you see I just dampened it with a bit of monomer there, added that tiny bead of the cover pink, and just fill in those missing bits. So I kind of filed some of my blend and I wasn't happy with that at all, so I'm filling that in, and by the cuticle area I had filed a bit too much away. So yeah, filling those areas in, but I'm using the tiniest amount of acrylic because I'm not trying to add any bulk. I don't want to give myself a ton of filing to do afterwards, so I'm just using the tiniest amount to fill in those missing bits. Make sure it's as smooth as I can get it with my brush. Have one last look, like yep, that's enough, that's good, and then I can just use a buffing block to blend that product that I've just added into the previous product, so that it is seamless and that you won't be able to tell once I've top coated. This is, I could have left that out of the video, but I wanted to show it because this stuff happens, especially when you're new. You overfile a lot when you're new. I overfile quite often because I get file happy and I just get carried away with the filing, and I just keep going, and then I realise I've overfiled it. But if it happens, don't panic, it's not the end of the world. I mean, I hate getting stuff back out that I've already put away that I find extremely annoying. But if you need to do it, it's possible, and don't be afraid to do it. Don't think, oh, I've put my stuff away, I'm just going to have to live with these nails for the next 2 to 3 weeks and I'm not entirely happy with it because I filed too much and it looks a bit weird. No, don't just live with it, change it, fix it, it's not a problem. There we go. So I buffed it and it's fine, you know, not a problem. So remove that dust again, and now it's time to bling it, baby. Oh yes. So I'm using my SBD London diamond gel, my ever faithful diamond gel. I love this stuff for putting crystals on. It's good stuff. It holds those crystals on in place, and I love the design of the bottle because it has that pen nib, but it also has a brush in that bottle as well, and it's tack free, so no need to remove a tacky layer after you have applied the crystals and cured them in place, which is awesome. So just putting one by the cuticle area on those ombre nails, just making sure it's in the middle of the nail and not touching my actual skin. There we go, cure that in place. I'm only flash curing because I will do the full cure at the end. Once I've top coated, I'll do the full 60-second cure and cure the top coat and the diamond gel at the same time for the whole 60 seconds. So on this ring finger, I'm just adding 3 tiny little crystals on the nail in sort of what's the placement. It's like they're just little floating dots at this moment because I'm going to be doing some 3D acrylic work, so that's why those crystals look really random at the moment, but they'll make sense in the end. And on to the bling finger. So the middle finger is getting all the bling. I kind of made this up as I went along. Not kind of, I did. There is no kind of. I absolutely made this up as I went along. So I got out a load of different crystals because I hadn't planned a particular design. I just got out a load of crystals and thought I'll go with the flow. So to add those pointy backed crystals, I like to use the Tony Lee jewelry gel because it is a thicker gel, so it gives something for those pointy backed crystals to sink into, whereas the diamond gel, the SBD London diamond gel, is a thinner viscosity, so it doesn't give you something to sink the points into, whereas the Tony Lee gel does. So for the pointy backs I use the Tony Lee gel, and for the flat backs I use the SBD London diamond gel, and I'm literally just going to add a ton of crystals and keep adding the diamond gel wherever I decide I'm going to add more crystals to, because why not? Why not indeed? Now I've only flash cured the pointy backs in place so far. I've not. Did I flash cure them? No. Yeah, I did. I'm losing my marbles now. Mind you, I lost my marbles a long time ago. So I flash cured the pointy backs in place, but I've not flash cured any of the flat backs at this point because I'm making this design up as I go, and I'm really sorry my camera had stopped recording because the battery died and I didn't realise. So you've missed some of the crystal placement, I'm so sorry. But as you can see, I just added a ton of crystals, but I haven't flash cured them in place because I didn't know what placement I was going to go with, and I wanted to be able to remove the crystals if I didn't like how it was going. So none, apart from the pointy backs, none of these have been flash cured in place at this point. They're still all able to be moved. So I'm gonna keep adding and looking and adding and looking, and then when I'm happy with it, then I will flash cure it. Decided to add some more. So this, I don't know how many crystals this was, but it was a lot of crystals on this one nail. It actually felt heavy. My nail felt heavy. Can you believe that? Well, yeah, I suppose you can, considering the amount of crystals that are on it. The only thing was, I then had to try and do the same thing on the other hand. Oh, that was something else. I always do that to myself, make up this random design and then have to try and do it on the other hand. Anyway, so flash cured those in place, and now it's time to top it off and keep it tough. But we're not finished yet, because I've got to do those 3D flowers. So what I'm going to do is top coat around those crystals. So I will use the brush to butt up against the crystals, but I will not go over them with the top coat. If you go over the crystals with your top coat, it will dull the shine, because they'll end up looking like little balls as opposed to crystals. Crystals have facets. Facets are those, what's it called, the flat lines that are all over the surface of the crystal. Those are the facets, and that's what gives them the ability to reflect the light at different angles and sparkle. If you put the top coat over them, you will lose those facets, which makes them lose their shine. So never go over your crystals with your top coat. Number one rule, top coat does not go over crystals. So butt it up right up against it, so that you're giving it a sort of claw effect. You know, when you set a ring, a diamond into a ring, it has that kind of claw that holds it in place. If you're butting the top coat right up against the sides of it, you're kind of shrink wrapping it, as it were. So go right up against the sides of those crystals with the top coat, but just make sure you don't go over them. And as you see, I'm using just a detailer brush to help me get around the edges of those crystals, and that triangle one with the hole in the middle, I just dropped a bit of the top coat in the middle of that, which will also give it a bit more adhesive power too. So get that top coat all the way around those crystals, secure them in place, and once I've done that, I will cure that for 60 seconds. And now we can get on with the 3D work. Here we go. So that's it, top coated, looking all lovely and shiny. I quite like doing the top coat underneath the 3D work, or should I say, I like to do my 3D work over the top coat, because that way I don't have to then try and top coat around my 3D work, because I like my 3D work to be matte and I don't want any of the top coat on top of it. So that's why I work on top of the top coat as opposed to the other way around. So I'll just add teeny tiny beads of the acrylic and use my brush to pat them out into that petal shape. I'm doing a very basic 4-petaled flower. This is the easiest type to do, and because the set had taken so long and putting all those crystals took an eternity, I wanted to do just a very simple design with the flowers, and also because I have to do it with my non-dominant hand on the other hand as well. So yeah, I was trying to keep it simple for those reasons, but if you want to do something more intricate, go ahead. But these little 4-petaled flowers are really effective. I think they're really cute. Yeah, I like them. They didn't need to be any more complicated than they are. So tiny, teeny weeny beads, and you can see I'm adding more than one bead at a time. If you're a bit slower or you're worried about it setting up on you too quickly, then obviously just do one bead at a time, but I was quite happy to do 2 or 3 beads and work that way. But yeah, you don't have to. You can definitely just do 1 bead at a time. The beads are easier to pat out when they start going matte on you, but if you wait too long, then they can be harder to press out. Sorry, I'm out of shot a little bit there. We'll come back into shot. Now I've faffed around with this petal a bit longer, so that other one started to set up on me. So I just quickly started working on that one before it set up too much. And I'm just literally patting it in the middle to get that little petal shape. And that's it. So we are pretty much at the end of the video, so I'd like to take this opportunity to say Thank you ever so much for coming to my channel, watching this video, spending some of your most precious time with me. Thank you. I appreciate you ever so much. If you have not done so already, please go ahead and click that subscribe button. Join the Frosty Fam. We'd most certainly love to have you join us. We're not a cult. If you have enjoyed this video in any way, shape or form, or it's helped you in some way or another, please go ahead and click that like button for me. It helps out my channel, but it also indicates to me that you're enjoying my content. And if you feel like it, you are most welcome to leave me a comment. I'm happy to talk to you. That is all I have for this time, peeps. You take care now, and I'll speak to you all again very, very soon. I hope you've enjoyed this one. Bye for now.
Yo escucho lo que dice el cora, lo bueno es lo que se demora, vale la pena cada herida y el sufrimiento. Yo escucho lo que dice el cora, lo bueno es lo que se demora, vale la pena cada herida. No fui el primero, ni seré el último, ni seré el último. Rompiste mi corazón. No fui el primero, ni seré el último, ni seré el último. Rompiste mi corazón. Someday soon I'm gonna make it.